is the leader of the race. Greg Biffle has finally hit pit road for the vibration. Checking to see if it was a loose wheel. He said, when I come down pit road, look at the lugs on the left side. If they look tight, let's just change 2. But Doug Richards said, we are going to go for 4. We are going to take the conservative approach. Right now, they're looking over the wheels, Bill, to see if indeed they were loose. Looks like possibly the left rear may have been loose on the 16 car.
Yeah, like I said, normally it takes about 7 or 8 laps to show up. And like BP says, it's normally left rear.
Because you tighten the lug nuts to the right. The torque of the wheels is trying to loosen the lug nuts. When you come off the corner, hit the throttle, that torque is trying to loosen them up on the rear. It tries to tighten them on the right rear.
Now, a couple of things to point out here. Biffle led 12 laps. He is the only driver not on the lead lap right now. So if the lucky dog was to be issued after a caution, it would go to Biffle. And the leaders are about, I'd say, a half a mile away from lapping anybody at this point. So Biffle might be able to dodge the trouble here. We'll see what happens, and Matt will follow up on pit road. So back up front, Matt Kenseth recaptures the lead. So Matt leads. Time for a Through the Field presented by Speed Pass from Exxon and Mobil. And we'll start with Matt Kenseth and Marty Snyder.
Well, Bill, last week the DeWalt guys got it done on pit road. Several stops under 13 seconds. They just did another one on this past stop, 12.9. He came in first, went out first. Biffle passed him, and he did ask what happened to Biffle. They told him on the radio, so he's not concerned with his car. Very good right now, Alan.
Tony Stewart has picked up a few spots since the restart, up now to second. He's maintained all along through this championship chase that I'm not racing for points. I don't look at the points. How about with 3 races to go, Tony? You changed your approach now?
With only 3 weeks to go, it makes it probably easier on us to just worry about doing what we're doing. That's all we've been doing, the whole chase anyway, is not worrying about where everybody else is, just doing what we need to do, and, it's working. So it gives us the flexibility with 3 races to go to do what we do best, and that's just worry about going out and getting the most points possible.
The most points possible is when you lead the most laps and win the race. He hasn't led yet, but he is up to second. Matt?
After a disappointing finish last week at Atlanta with 16th, they felt like they needed to come in here, the 48 team, and step it up, and they sure did on that last pit stop, picking up 4 spots on pit road. The car a little free, Alan.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. started 10th. He is up to 4th place now, calling in a minute ago, saying his car needing a little bit more help turning. Earlier he was commenting about having some trouble on the bumps, like right there when you go into the corners. Dave?
Mark Martin said the car is starting to come in. They loosened that car up a little bit on the stop, but it was really loose at the start of the run. Car operating very well for Mark right now. The 5 of Kyle Busch, once he got his car back under control from all that looseness, is running pretty well. Just trying to maintain his position right now and have his car come to him as well, Marty.
Well, Dave, the 2014 has lost the handle on this race car. Jeff just came on the radio a couple laps ago, said, we are terrible on speed. I cannot pick up the throttle at all. He let the 5 car go earlier, made a little contact when he went by him. Jeff having a tough time with a very tight race car. Denny Hamlin signed a long-term contract this week with Joe Gibbs Racing, announced this morning. As Bill told you earlier, the car very good for Hamlin. A little bit tight. They put a pound in the right rear on the last stop. Dave?
A little confusion in Mike Bliss's pits. The 37 of Mike Skinner was in the way. They didn't make any changes on this chassis. Woody Barker, the crew chief, radioing back to Mike, even though your car was loose, if I make you tight in the middle, you'll yell at me. So they didn't do anything. Alan?
I won't yell. Carl Edwards isn't yelling either because he started 30th, and he's already cracked the top 10 into the 10th spot on the pace laps just before the green. He gave his team a little pep talk.
All right, guys, let's have a good, fun day. Just be patient. Our car is good enough. I'm going to be patient, and we should have an awesome day. So thank you guys for the opportunity. Thanks, Mom, for being here. Love you.
Never hurts to thank Mom, does it? Carl is being very patient. He said a lack of patience, getting in too much of a hurry, is what hurt him in the April race here. Matt?
Casey Mears just running outside the top 10 and 11. Loves these high-speed racetracks. At a top 5 here in the spring, hoping for more good things here today. The car a little tight on exit, but it's getting better, Dave.
Michael Waltrip's team trying to give him a win yet this season before he leaves Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. Thought they might have it at Charlotte until he tangled with Jamie McMurray late in that race. Trying again today to have a top 10, top 5, or even a winning car, Marty.
Well, Dave, in the last 2 Texas races for Rusty Wallace, he's finished 10th and 5th right now. And I'm struggling with a tight race car. Did not have a very good pit stop either. They did go up a quarter round on the track bar, trying to loosen up Rusty's car. Still tight on this run as well, Dave.
And And the same for Jeremy Mayfield's car. That was a condition before the pit stop. He restarted 6th, and he's gone backwards, still having trouble turning that race car. The 29 of Kevin Harvick today. Most cars on the racetrack today are carrying a number 62 decal. That in honor of Kevin's father-in-law, who passed away this week, John Paul Linville. All teams honoring him. He was a Busch Series competitor that they all thought very highly of. Matt?
Dave, pressure continues to build for the 25 team, knowing they only have 3 races left to try to score that first win this year for Brian Vickers. Now the car is tight, especially in traffic, and it's loose across the bumps. Dave?
Kurt Busch's team trying to correct the conditions on his car real tight during the first stop, and hopefully they've got some of that corrected as he tries to move his way through this field. Marty?
Busch Series Championship leader Martin Truex Jr. making his final NEXTEL Cup start of the season. He will be a rookie next year, so they're trying to save those races. They told him to be a little more aggressive when he came to his pit stall next time. Car's a little bit tight for Truex in that one car. Matt?
Now a unique paint scheme for the 88 of Dale Jarrett. His kids, young son Zach, age 10, and daughters Natalie and Carson, helped design this paint scheme for Toys R Us. Now DJ hoping to add another victory to his Texas racing resume, one here back in 2001. The Ganassi cars, especially the Silver 40 of Sterling Marlin, had great runs here in the spring, but like many cars, fighting a little tight condition, especially in the center of the corner. Schneider?
Well, Matty, as you know, Elliott Sadler won here last April, but right now he does not have a winning race car. A little bit too tight for Elliott, and he kind of scolded the team. He said, next stop, guys, let's take some time. Let's fix this thing, because right now we're going nowhere except backwards. Matt?
And sticking with a known factor, they brought a very productive race car. The car that has a lot of top 10 finishes here. This is the 14th race for the 42 car, this particular chassis. The car, though, tight like his teammate Sterling Marlin. Meanwhile, the 07 Dave Blaney. Now, the cars out of the RCR stable look very strong in final practice, including Blaney's 07 car. He's a little tight on exit, but they made some changes in the last stop, especially air pressure has seemed to help. Alan?
Casey Kane, normally someone you expect to see running up toward the front on these fast racetracks, running back in 24th spot now. They started the race in 15th. He called in and talked about his car in different situations in traffic. I'll save you the long explanation and say it just wasn't good. Ryan Newman trying to pick his way up from the tail end of the field in this backup car. Ryan calling in a moment ago saying his car needs a little more help turning in the corner. I would call this slow but steady progress for one of the championship contenders. Bill?
Thanks, Alan. Outstanding job, you guys, getting us through the top 25 cars. There are 40 cars on the lead lap. Jimmy Spencer has been knocked off the lead lap. He is the highest running car not on the lead lap, and that means he would be the lucky dog. If the caution comes out, he's racing Greg Biffle for that position. 65 laps are complete. Let's get an update from Matt.
And one of the championship contenders, Greg Biffle, now he's trying to race his way back in to contention. Now, while he had a pep talk from his crew chief, Doug Richard, after that was over, Doug had the entire team switch over to Channel 2. He gave the pit crew a pep talk, reminded them why they are one of the best teams in the business, wants them to shake off their pit road miscue that cost them that lap, put it all back together, and it was indeed a loose left rear, like I mentioned before.
Thank you very much, Matt. So Biffle has a lot of work to do. Matt Kenseth up front at Texas. You're watching the Dickies 500 live on NBC.
NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Series racing from Texas Motor Speedway is brought to you by Principal Financial Group. We'll give you an edge. By Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. By Lowe's, where you'll find all your home improvement needs. Lowe's, where improving home improvement never ends. And by the 3,600 CarQuest Auto Parts stores across North America.
72 laps complete here at Texas. Matt Kenseth continues to lead over Tony Stewart and Jimmy Johnson. Here's our Wendy's race menu. And that's all that's left on the menu for 2005. Phoenix next Sunday, and then 2 weeks, the season finale at Homestead, Miami. 3 o'clock Eastern time on NBC next Sunday and in 2 weeks. And then we'll crown the champion.
Walking through the garage here this morning, someone said, next time by, 2 to go.
That's right. 2 races left after today.
Now, Kenseth is knocking him down. That's not good news for Biffle right now, because he's putting a car a lap down just about every other lap.
Now then, what Biffle needs to happen is go through a full cycle of green flags. All these cars have to stop on the green flag. And then after everybody stops, caution flag come out. Puts him back in the game again.
A little bit of that luck.
A little bit that he's talking about. That's right.
This is a good day for Matt Kenseth. His crew chief, Robbie Reiser, was not here on Friday. Robbie's dad, John Reiser, has been ill. Robbie spent the day with his father on Thursday, and Matt Kenseth called Robbie Thursday night and said, do not come down here. We will get through this day without you. And qualifying, Robbie told me this morning it's the first time he's ever missed a day at the racetrack, but Matt wanted to make sure he spent the day with John Reiser, his father. John and Alice wanted to let you know they're thinking about you down here in Texas today. Robbie flew in on Saturday morning. He said they were watching some of the coverage on TV on Friday in the hospital, and John Reiser looked down at his watch and then looked at his son and goes, I told you you're supposed to be there. And Robbie said, nope, I'm going to spend the day with you. Today, Matt Kenseth out front. Jimmy Johnson in the 48, Matt Kenseth in the 6. Johnson runs third. I'm sorry, Mark Martin in the 6. What'd I say, Matt? Yeah, Mark in the 6. Underneath the 48, and we go to Matt Yoakum on the 48.
And the 6 of Mark Martin just goes by. Now, Jimmy was saying his biggest issue is the car is starting to get free, especially down in 3 and 4. It's a little bit on the edgy side, too, Dave.
And as for Mark Martin right now, they've been talking a lot about the changes they want to make on the next stop. And they're very similar to the changes they made last week at Atlanta, where Mark finished third. Quarter round of wedge, very minor chassis adjustment, little air out of the left side tires. That helps the car turn a little bit. So very similar, even though these tracks aren't exactly the same, Wally, the same stuff works.